All right, talking about using oil pastels with the face. We're gonna be using the Expressionist cray-pas and then the Junior Artist for a few other little colors on there. It's nice because you have a lot of variety and they're small, so it's easy to get little details and things on those. And then, in this one, I thought I had a paper clip in there. Use this one. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna start with these, and I've pulled out oranges and blues because I like to work with complements. Complements in the shadows always add depth. And so these are nice and straight across the color wheel. And I'm gonna throw in some browns because yes, we think of skin tone, it's kind of brownish, but if you make it just straight brown, it's gonna look flat and dull and not realistic. So I'm also going to take, and I like to have some colors in my hand while I'm working to kind of help me figure out what I wanna do. I'm gonna work on this guy's nose a little bit. I'm not so concerned right now with making it super realistic. I'm more concerned with colors because this is practice. So I wanna practice his nose. There's this shadow in here. And I'm gonna think of it almost like a rounded cone with a highlight of sort of this rounded edge here, just so as I'm practicing and working with it, I can practice where the darks are gonna go. Now, again, I wanna play with color, so I'm gonna go to my darkest areas. I'm gonna put blue in there first. And no, he doesn't have blue boogers coming out of his nose. I know that looks funny, but this is gonna give me my nice dark shadow, and I'm gonna blend it, so by the time I'm done, it's all gonna start to go together. So I work this whole area up as a whole. If I were doing his whole face, I would practice putting the blues and the darks everywhere in there. Now I'm gonna take the brown and blend that in with it a little bit so that it's complement. A brown is really like a dull orange often, sometimes a dull red, depending, this one's a little bit reddish on the color it is. And then when I use oil pastels, I use my lighter colors as blenders. I don't like using my finger or something else to blend. I feel like you do that, you scrape some off one part of the page, and then you get lighter parts in another part of the page where it's thicker, and I don't like it. I don't think it works well. I think they blend beautifully all on their own. They don't need my influence that way. So I start to take some of the lighter orangish color to blend this in and get this color in here. So I don't want to get an unrealistic skin tone, but I do want to blend colors so it doesn't look, it looks more interesting to have some colors in there. So I'm going to start to bring in these different colors, and I'll go back and forth and work back and forth with them. And here it's lighter. This is much lighter. My light source is coming from that way. And then there might even be some lighter blue in some areas. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Kind of blend that in so it's not so orangey. The complements also help dull down the color so it's not so bright. And then I'm using this lighter color as my blender. So as you can see, this is gonna get rid of those white spots, give my lines a little bit direction. It's not necessarily just that color, because this is a really pale skin tone. This is not his skin tone. So as I do this, I blend this in here. Now, it is a little more orangey on his face. He's got a little more warmer skin tone. That's too dark. So maybe I'll come back in with this one. Bring this in here. And I'm not completely concerned. I don't need to match it entirely. I do just want to get the values in and have it be similar. Maybe now I'll come in with a little bit of white and get the biggest highlights in there, like so. They kind of get these different little edges on things like that. This highlight in here. And then I'll bring this in this way and kind of come like that. So I get some depth and value in there. Now this is getting a little muddy. I want it to actually be a little more white, so I can take a paper clip. They work really nicely for just scraping off some of that extra stuff. It's going to leave the paper stain, but that's okay. This is like my little eraser. And then if I want to go in and lighten this even more, I can just blend it with what's already there. And some of that thicker oil pastel is gone. If I get the little chunks coming up, I just blend them in. I don't press too hard. I use light layers to blend things together. That's it.